Chapter 46. The word of the Lord which came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Gentiles, against Egypt, against the army of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, which was by the river Euphrates in Carchemish, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon smote in the 4th year of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah king of Judah. Order ye the buckler and the shield, and draw near to battle. Harness the horses, and get up, you horsemen, and stand forth with your helmets. Furbish the spears, and put on the brigandines. Wherefore have I seen them dismayed and turned away back? And their mighty ones are beaten down, and are fled apace, and look not back, for fear was round about, saith the Lord. Let not the swift flee away, nor the mighty man escape. They shall stumble and fall toward the north by the river Euphrates. Who is this that cometh up as a flood, whose waters are moved as the rivers? Egypt riseth up like a flood, and his waters are moved like the waters. And he saith, I will go up, and will cover the earth. I will destroy the city and the inhabitants thereof. Come up, ye horses, and rage, ye chariots, and let the mighty men come forth, the Ethiopians and the Libyans that handle the shield, and the Lydians that handle and bend the bow. For this is the day of the Lord God of hosts, a day of vengeance, that he may avenge him on his adversaries, and the sword shall devour, and it shall be satiate and made drunk with their blood. For the Lord God of hosts hath a sacrifice in the north country by the river Euphrates. Go up into Gilead, and take balm, O virgin, the daughter of Egypt. In vain shalt thou use many medicines, for thou shalt not be cured. The nations have heard of thy shame, and thy cry hath filled the land. For the mighty man hath stumbled against the mighty, and they are fallen both together. The word that the Lord spake to Jeremiah the prophet, how Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon should come and smite the land of Egypt. Declare ye in Egypt, and publish in Migdol, and publish in Noph, and to Tahpanhes. Say ye, stand fast, and prepare thee, for the sword shall devour round about thee. Why are thy valiant men swept away? They stood not, because the Lord did drive them. He made many to fall, yea, one fell upon another, and they said, Arise, and let us go again to our own people, and to the land of our nativity from the oppressing sword. They did cry there, Pharaoh king of Egypt is but a noise. He has passed the time appointed. As I live, saith the king, whose name is the Lord of hosts, surely as Tabor is among the mountains, and as Carmel by the sea, so shall he come. O thou daughter dwelling in Egypt, furnish thyself to go into captivity, for Noph shall be a waste, and desolate without an inhabitant. Egypt is like a very fair heifer, but destruction cometh, it cometh out of the north. Also her hired men are in the midst of her like fatted bullocks, for they are also turned back, and are fled away together. They did not stand, because the day of their calamity was come upon them, and the time of their visitation. The voice thereof shall go like a serpent, for they shall march like an army, and come against her with axes as hewers of wood. They shall cut down her forest, saith the Lord, though it cannot be searched, because there are more than the grasshoppers, and are innumerable. The daughter of Egypt shall be confounded, she shall be delivered into the hand of the people of the north. The Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, saith, Behold, I will punish the multitude of No, and Pharaoh, and Egypt with their gods, and their kings, even Pharaoh, and all them that trust in him. And I will deliver them into the hand of those that seek their lives, and into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and into the hand of his servants, and afterwards it shall be inhabited as in the days of old, saith the Lord. But fear not thou, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed, O Israel, for behold, I will save thee from afar off, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return, and be in rest and at ease, and none shall make him afraid. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, saith the Lord, for I am with thee. For I will make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven thee, but I will not make a full end of thee, but correct thee in measure, yet I will not leave thee wholly unpunished. Chapter 46, everything except the last 2 verses was literally fulfilled in Jeremiah's time or very shortly thereafter. Now, basically what happened was, and the Lord saying this, is that Nebuchadnezzar would come and capture Egypt. It says, order the buckler and the shield in verse 3, which would be, the buckler was a small shield that would be worn on the body. A shield would obviously shield and draw near to battle. In other words, get ready because a battle's coming. Egypt had a great army in theory, but people tended to vanish when the battle got going a lot of times. Brigandines in verse 4 is a type of armor It was cloth woven in inner and an outer layer, and between the two was sewn in small metal plates, sort of, and overlapping one another like fish scales. And they would mostly be worn by people who had the chariots. And because they would charge in with the chariots just into the troops that were out there in their army. And basically it said, "Who is it that cometh up like a flood, whose waters are moved as a river?" Now it said Egypt rises up like a flood and his waters move like a river, but that's not quite how it's going to happen. What's going to happen is that they're going to come from the north. The sword shall devour, made drunk with their blood, for the Lord God of hosts has a sacrifice in the north country by the river Euphrates. So there were battles that took place in several places, but the Euphrates was emblematic, symbolic of the Babylonian captivity for the Jews and battles with Babylon for the Egyptians. And they would fight one with another. Now he talks about several cities. The city of No was the city of Thebes. In Roman times, Jupiter was worshipped there. And said in verse 17, "Pharaoh, king of Egypt, is but a noise." And that was what he had as a reputation. Make lots of noise. I'll come and get you. I'll attack you. I'll bring my troops, all the rest of it. But when they got there, most of the time they didn't do much. It says in verse 20, "Egypt like a very fair heifer." I had cows, and I had one heifer cow that was absolutely beautiful. So a fair heifer, a beautiful cow to look at, but wasn't good for much as a heifer until she was bred and started to give milk. Then basically it says here, "The voice thereof shall go as a serpent, for they shall march with an army and come against her with axes as hewers of wood." Axes would be weapons. "They shall cut down her forest." They will cut down everything that is, because they are more than grasshoppers and are innumerable. This was the troops that were going to attack Egypt. Now, "Behold, I will punish the multitude of No," that is the people that worship the gods in Thebes, "and Pharaoh and Egypt with their gods and their kings, even Pharaoh, who is supposed to be a god king, and all them that trust in him." So they could trust in him all they wanted, but that wouldn't help him any. "And I will deliver them," in verse 26, "into the hand of those that seek their lives, and into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of his servants, and afterwards it shall be inhabited as in the days of old," which basically means not much inhabited at all. "Fear not, fear thou not," verse 28, "O Jacob my servant, for I am with thee, for I will make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven thee." And this verse 27 and verse 28 are Jeremiah's instructions that in the last days Israel and Judah will be restored to the promised land. In verse 27, "I will save thee from afar off, and thy seed from the land of their captivity." The interesting thing is that while the Jews were taken to Babylon, which was the most powerful country on the face of the earth at that time, they were protected there. They could grow up there. They could be more numerous there than if they had stayed. The Lord couldn't let them stay there in their sin, but at the same time, they were protected. Just as when they went to Egypt, although there were 70 people with Jacob when he went there, there were several million of them when they came back. If they went to Babylon and they built homes there as they were instructed, and they planted gardens and gave their daughters and their sons in marriage, not to the Babylonians, but to other Jews, married in the covenant as they were supposed to, they could maintain their numbers and increase their numbers, so when they came back there were more. And if they repented of the sins they had and recognized why they had been punished and why they were in Babylon, when they came back they would have been better than when they started out.